I flew out to Turkey and got myself a hair transplant almost 11 months ago, and I'm going back in a week to get my second transplant, so let's do a full recap on my results so far. Friendly reminder, it was always a plan to get this first transplant to give me a good base, so my second one could give me a full head of hair. Let's get to it. So this was day one after the hair transplant. I got 4,000 grafts in the front part of my head. I went with Vera Clinic in Turkey. At this point, I felt pretty raw, but I felt okay. The operation went well, and I was excited to go on through the journey. This was day 4 when I got home from Turkey and the swelling had began, where my head started to look like a basketball, and at this point I'm just following the recovery routine that the clinic gave me and just excited for better days ahead. This was a few days later. At this point, the swelling had gone down and my donor area was healing up extremely well. I honestly was starting to feel great at this point, and I couldn't wait to get those scabs off. This was on day 10, which is the day that you finally remove all the scabs and you can wear a hat again and basically just go back to normal life, and this felt amazing. I was already feeling pretty healed at this point. I was surprised at how quickly it healed, and after this, it really just became time to wait for the results. But getting the scabs off was definitely insane. It felt weird, but it felt so refreshing once it was finally done. Here's what my hair was looking like on day 10 once all the scabs were gone and right before the dreadful shedding phase begins. Here you can see is when I began the shedding phase pretty strongly. About a couple weeks later, my hair was looking light, but honestly, this is all part of the plan. I was excited even seeing this amount of hair on my head because I used to be fully bald, so this was extremely exciting knowing I was just going through the motions, going through the process. This is 2 months after the operation, and as you can see, the shedding phase is in full effect. I hadn't even touched my hair since the operation, so I decided to trim the sides down, and here's how it looked after my little fresh cut. The donor area is still pretty raw here. It's not fully healed yet, but it honestly looks amazing for just 2 months, and those native hairs on the top are starting to come in. This was 4 months after my hair transplant, and at this point my transplanted hairs had not come in yet, but my native hairs were starting to come back, so it really was just a waiting game for the whole ball game. This was at the 5-month mark after my hair transplant, and it was at this point I could start to feel a little stubble from the transplanted hairs that were coming into the scalp, but my native hair was getting so long that I decided to completely shave my head before the 6-month mark to let the native hairs kind of grow at the same length as the transplanted hairs. This was 6 months after the hair transplant. At this point, the top was still fairly light, but the donor area had completely healed. It looked like no hair was taken at all, and I was really excited for the top to truly begin to thicken up, which is exactly what happened. And this is the 7th month mark after my hair transplant, and it was at this point that I knew my results were incoming. I could finally see my hairline forming beautifully. I could feel the fact that I had more hair on my head. It was still extremely thin, but remember, it was supposed to be thin. They told me this first transplant wasn't going to make it fully full. It's just a good base for my second transplant to truly go in and fill anything else that's needed. This was the 8th month mark after I got my hair transplant, and I had just recently got PRP in the previous month as well, so I was worried about a shedding phase, but honestly, it was still coming in pretty smooth. It was looking thicker than it ever has in years, and I was excited to see what the next couple of months could bring as these transplanted hairs thickened up. And this is after 9 months. I had just gone on spring break and got very sunburnt, so I apologize, but it was just continuing to thicken up, really starting to look better every day. And this was the 10-month mark where it really started to just look like almost a normal set of hair, and I could wear my hat off and people wouldn't even question it. I have people asking me why am I getting another one, but you could still see it's definitely still thin, and I'm gonna benefit totally from this next one. It's exactly where I should be at this point in time, because now this second one is gonna fill in anywhere where it's still needed, and then I'll be all good. And finally, here we are, almost 11 months after my trip to Turkey. This is how my first transplant turned out. It's looking phenomenal heading into this next journey. Follow me if you want to see. I'm going to be documenting the entire process. This is the end. We are in the end game now. When I started this account, I conducted a 3-year plan to get all of my hair back, and we are entering year 3. All of the history of me getting my hair back is on this TikTok page if you want to go see it. The first year was me simply doing a hair routine to get as much native hair back. The second year was that transplant that I just explained in this video, and the third year will be my second transplant. The clinic website is linked in the bio. My whole hair routine is linked in the bio. If you have any questions, put it down in the comments below. Listen, this is it. After this transplant, the full head of hair is coming. I can't wait. I'm so excited to share it all with you. Follow to see my whole journey. Turkey time, baby. 1 week.